What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure to subscribe button down below, hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time we open a brand new video. Now, in this video today, I'm going to be answering the question or the statement: the Ravens can win the Super Bowl if. I'm going to talk about the things that they need to do to go out and beat the Bengals and continue success through beating the NFC opponent in the Super Bowl. Now, obviously, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do the Ravens need to do if they want to win the Super Bowl? And I don't want to hear a lot of the obvious answer. Well, they need to fire Greg Roman, or they need to, have Lamar Jackson. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fundamental things, aspects of the game that they need to focus on in order to have success in the postseason. Now, I'm super excited to, watch the playoffs, watch the Ravens, watch other teams. But let me know in the comment section down below your guys' thoughts and what you guys want me to talk about in the next couple of days, and myself and Joshua. As we're trying to prepare for the Cincinnati Bengals game. But let's get into it. And first off, I want to say, this video is not me saying the Ravens guaranteed are going to win the Super Bowl. It's not me saying that they won't win the Super Bowl. All right. This is just me saying this is the game plan. This is the strategy. This is how it works. If the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl, they need to play smart. All right. What does play smart mean? First off, it means be disciplined. All right. And discipline comes in penalties, discipline comes in keeping your composure, because the playoffs, and especially this first game against the Cincinnati Bengals, this is going to be a heated game. This is going to be maybe the most heated game of any Ravens game that any of these players have played in. And people may think, well, maybe Ravens Titans. And it could be Ravens Titans for, the 2020 playoff matchup after they knocked the Ravens out in 2019. And I wouldn't think that's a bad answer. But you have to think about it in this sense. These are division rivals. They play each other twice a year. And they played each other last week. There were big hits. There were physical hits. It was a physical game. And it was defensive focused. These teams do not like each other already. And they have to play each other 2 times in a row. I don't know if you guys have played many double headers in your sports career or done anything against one person multiple times in a row. That second time, you want to beat them even more, right? So this game, you're going to need to be disciplined. We can't have bad hits. Oh, we really got to throw Joe Burrow into the ground, right? Getting that extra 15-yard penalty just to, leave a bruise on someone, that's not worth it. All right. Third downs, be composed and make sure that you take care of the football on both ends. Don't let the Bengals get extra yards because of bad penalties, and don't make bad decisions turning the football over. And that goes to any player playing on the Ravens, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's Lamar Jackson, whether it's Tyler Huntley, whether it's Anthony Brown. Make good decisions when you're passing that football. Do not, when you're the quarterback, I don't care who it is, whether it's Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley, Snoop, don't try and be the hero. That is what has cost the Ravens a few games underneath Lamar Jackson, is he tries to do everything because he feels like he has to. There's a good core of football players around you. Maybe not wide receivers, but you can throw to your tight ends. Those are good. You have a very good offensive line, and you have very good running backs. J.K. Dobbins is going to be back. Rely on him. Rely on your running back. Rely on your defense, and don't try and force things, because this defense with this run game is the recipe to win the Super Bowl. The recipe to win the Super Bowl isn't let's get Lamar and have him go for 120 rushing yards and 200 passing and 5 touchdowns every game. That won't win the Ravens the Super Bowl. All right. What will win the Super Bowl is the Ravens controlled the clock. They ran the ball for 200 total yards, led by J.K. Dobbins and maybe Gus Edwards or whoever the quarterback is. And they were able to stifle the opposing offense. They were able to force turnovers. That's how they win. And I think a lot of people are missing that aspect of things in, looking at missing. Oh, man, Anthony Brown, he struggled in the first half. Remember, Gus Edwards went out with a concussion, and we were running the ball with Kenyon Drake and Justice Hill. That is a major drop off from J.K. Dobbins. The Bengals are coming off playing against a Ravens team that was missing key pieces. They may not be ready for Mark Andrews. They may not be ready for J.K. Dobbins. They may not be ready for Tyler Huntley, whoever ends up starting. And again, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of Tyler Huntley, but maybe, maybe the Ravens win this week, right, with a backup quarterback. Maybe Lamar can come back next week. Maybe he comes back in 2 weeks. Maybe he's good for the Super Bowl, whatever it is. If it's a backup playing, you need to play like you are the starter, like you know exactly what you're doing. And Anthony Brown, the benefit is he will have started a game before in a high profile, very televised, important game in his NFL career. And that's what he started. And he gets another one, but it's against the same team. And that's a good and bad thing. Because if it's he knows their tendencies, but they know his tendencies now. Now there's film on him, but the film is against that same team. So those players go, hey, maybe, last game I was kind of really shading outside on these plays. I'm going to shade inside, throw him off a little bit. Maybe he forces a throw. Maybe I get a pick. Whatever it is, got to make sure that you're disciplined in that. But I think the biggest thing is identity. Outside of playing smart, it's identity. Stick to the Raven identity. Again, I brought it up earlier. You need to play defense and you need to control the clock offensively. Especially without Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are not able to go up against any team, even with Lamar Jackson. Even with Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman, the Baltimore Ravens are not set up to go into a shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs offense, with the Cincinnati Bengals offense, with any offense that's in these playoffs. I don't think they can go into a shootout with. Maybe the Giants. Actually, they can probably do Giants and maybe Jaguars. But the other offenses, NFC and AFC, those are offenses that are designed to just put up points and points and points and points and keep turning up the clock. All right. I'm a Stanford football fan. Okay. We've never been the best team in the country except for like 80 years ago or whatever. But you know what? They went up against the Chip Kelly Oregon Ducks. All right. And if you guys don't remember the Chip Kelly Oregon Ducks, they were putting up 50 points a game. Right? They had Marcus Mariota, they had LaMichael James, they had all these guys, and they were all track stars. And how did they win? They put up points. Every drive, quick score. But they always struggled to beat Stanford because Stanford played them differently than every other team tried to. Every team tried to outbeat their offense. They tried to outduel them with their offense. We're going to score more points than them. Instead, Stanford went into it and they said, hey, we are going to reduce the amount of possessions you get, and we are going to get more defensive stops than you are. And they focused it on the defense and trying to control the clock. Because if you reduce the amount of possessions that these high-profile big offenses get, the less points they're going to score. The more important every single drive is. And let's say you force a turnover in a game where your team gets, both teams get 10 drives, right? That's 10% of the drives you were able to stop abruptly. Maybe we'll increase it to like 16 because I feel like that's really low. Or we'll say 20%. We'll say you get 20 drives in a game. I don't know if that's, I think that's really high, but I'm just, for mathematical purposes, 20 is easy to understand. That, and you get an interception on one of them. That's 5% of the drives. Let's say you're able to cut their time in half and they go, oh, now all of a sudden it's 10 drives in the game. And you get one interception. Again, both games look the same. One interception. One of them was 10% of the drive stop. The other was 5. If you reduce the amount of possessions, every possession becomes compounded. Every turnover is worth that much more. And the Ravens defense has proven they can force turnovers. They forced one last week. They forced 6 3-and-outs in the second half last week. 3-and-outs are worth more. Forced fumbles, interceptions, all of it is worth more. And the Ravens, if they're able to control the clock, they can kick field goals. And again, I'm not saying win every game 12-7, kicking only field goals. But they can control the clock, and they've shown they can move the football on these great teams, even without Lamar. They got to figure out how to execute in the red zone, but the biggest thing is controlling the clock and reducing possessions. That is how the Ravens go on to win the Super Bowl. You have to think about the 2000s Ravens because you have to think about every great defense in the history of football that has ever won a championship. It's been because they were led by a run game. It's never, oh man, they were just a filthy pass game offense. No, they ran the ball and they slowed the game down. They reduced possessions, and then the defense was able to make big plays. You can look at any defense. You can look at the 2015 Denver Broncos. They may have had Peyton Manning. They were not a passing offense that was running the football. You can look at the Legion of Boom. It was not young Russell Wilson. It was Marshawn Lynch. You look at the 2000 Ravens. That was Mr. Lewis right there running that football down the throat. You want to look at, some people say, the best defense of all time? The 85 Bears. Who did they have? Mr. Walter Payton. All right. And if you want to look at, in my opinion, the best defense in football history, the 1920 to 1921 Akron Pros. If you guys don't know about them, strongly recommend you look them up. They had 13 consecutive shutouts, but they were led by running back Fritz Pollard. They always wanted to chew the clock. Every great defense has been able to chew the clock. Every great defense has been able to win, has been able to chew the clock and reduce possessions. There's other defenses that people don't hear about, like the 1977 Atlanta Falcons, one of the best statistical defenses ever. Couldn't do anything. Why? Because the offense was not good enough. The offense needs to control the clock so the defense can be on the field less. And when they're on the field less, they get more time to rest. And every play that they make is worth more. You don't want a guy guarding Jamar Chase 50 times because in 50 snaps, he may get one on you. If you make him cover him 35, hey, maybe that one time he gets by you, that was in the 15 you reduced. That's how they have to play. That's my thoughts on this game. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. But, looking at this roster, looking at this coaching staff, I think it's possible. I think it's doable. I believe it can happen. Do I think 100% it will happen? No. But I think it absolutely can. And, I want to spread positivity going into the playoffs. I don't want to be doom and gloom. Let me know in the comment section down below your guys' thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see all of you again tomorrow.